Welcome everyone to today's webinar. We're going to be talking all about maximizing turnout to community events, fundraisers, galas, all of that. I'm going to be joined today by Richard Reams from the Palmetto Community Care. And we'll be talking all about ways that you can use Feathr and digital marketing to drive event attendance, registration, and fill up seats at your events. So we have a question here in the chat. I know a couple people have already dropped some answers in, but just kind of trying to get a sense of what event is top of mind for you as you're joining this webinar today. So seeing a few answers already, some galas, run and walk events, some walkathons. So yeah, keep dropping some answers in the chat. Would love to hear, as we give everyone just a couple minutes to join, what you all are focused on and what you're trying to get out of today's presentation. Wine at the Shrine, that sounds fun. I would attend that based on the name alone. Okay, annual gala, yeah. So I know, I think we have a lot of 501c3s on here today, some arts and culture orgs. I think we also might have some associations if you're on the event side, event marketing side of associations. So yeah, national convention sounds like a good example. So yeah, it might be like an annual conference or an annual event that you host for your association. Yeah, I got a couple of those coming in. And yeah, if it's, like trying to get people to show up to shows that you're hosting as a theater or an orchestra, fundraisers, like I said, all of that. We're going to be talking about ways you can grow awareness, get in front of new people who've never heard about your events, people who've attended before, but maybe are sort of lapsed and you want to get back on their radar. So Richard is going to be sharing a ton of insights about how he markets Palmetto's big annual fundraiser. And we'll get into some details. Pickleball, nice. I've never played pickleball. Have you, Richard? It's like the most popular thing right now, but I've never tried it.
Changed a bunch of the tennis courts around our house into pickleball courts, so people are on the fence about whether they like that or not. Because now it's like the Jets and the Sharks from back in the day, the tennis people versus the pickleball people.
Okay. Yeah, no, it seems very polarizing, but. Yeah, cool. Okay, well, I think we can go ahead and dive into the content. So for anyone who just joined, we're going to be talking all about maximizing turnout to events. So it says community events here, but this could be any event that you want to promote. Also, it looks like I'm frozen on the screen, but am I? Okay, I'm going to keep going. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. All right, something weird is happening on my end. All right, so let's dive into it. So real quick before we get started, I just want to do a quick intro of Feathr as a platform for anyone who's new to Feathr and doesn't really know what we do. So we are the digital marketing platform for nonprofits. So like I said, if you have an annual gala, a convention, any kind of event, fundraiser, things like that, we can help you get in front of new people, grow your audience, and convert those people into attendees. And then obviously there's tons of other use cases for Feathr. So if you're looking to drive more donations, grow general awareness of your organization, if you are an association looking to reach existing members, potential members, all of that, we can put you in front of the right people and grow your audience and drive those conversions. So digital advertising, email marketing, the whole toolkit, plus analytics and reporting, which we're going to get into in a lot of detail today with Richard. So that is Feathr in a nutshell. And like I said, we serve a lot of different organizations. So food banks, animal services orgs, environmental organizations, associations, all of that. I'm Isa Hasty. I'm the Senior Content Marketing Manager here at Feathr. I included my email on this slide, so we're going to be sending the slide deck out after the webinar, so be on the lookout for that in your email inbox, but just wanted to include that in case anyone has any questions and wants to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to pass it over to Richard for an intro.
Well, hey, so I am Richard Reams. I'm the Director of Development and Marketing here at Palmetto Community Care, located in Charleston, South Carolina. We are an AIDS service organization, so we do HIV/AIDS medical care and wraparound case management services for people that are living with HIV/AIDS. Everything from support groups to housing, financial assistance, legal assistance. If there's a service that they need, we offer it or have a partner that does. We also offer free HIV and STI prevention services as well. We have a pharmacy on site mental health, primary medical care, and a dental suite as well. And so my job as development director is a lot of hats, right? Website development, social, as well as fundraising. And so one of our primary fundraising events for our unrestricted dollars is Charleston Beer Fest.
Cool. Thanks for that intro and context setting. And I'll just go through a quick agenda and then we'll get into it. So we're going to be, like I said, diving straight into all of these campaigns that Richard has run for Charleston Beer Fest, talking through some sort of general best practices, timelines for promoting a big event, how to actually get in front of new people and drive that awareness. And then the role of audience segmentation. So like once you are in front of new people, you want to be mindful of how you're getting in front of them, what channels you're using, making sure you're not bombarding people in the inbox and using different channels to reach people in a sort of cohesive wraparound way. And then we're going to be talking about campaigns to actually engage and convert. So it's a lot of your like retargeting, email marketing campaigns, and then also talking about sort of reviewing events and seeing, how things performed, looking at what worked and what didn't. And Feathr reporting has a lot to offer in that department. And then we're also going to get at the end to a little bit about some other use cases that Palmetto Community Care uses Feathr for, including promoting services and the medical center that Richard just mentioned. And then I also have some additional case studies and resources to share with you all about Feathr, how Feathr can help with event marketing. So let's dive into Charleston Beer Fest. So you gave us a little bit of information about it. This is your primary fundraising event. You usually draw around 6,000 people. Is that right?
Yep.
Cool. So can you tell us kind of a little bit more about how you've promoted this event in the past?
Yeah, so I've been running Charleston Beer Fest since 2021. And before that, it was Charleston Beer Garden. It started much smaller than it is today. Really just kind of focused on the Charleston specific area breweries, a few hundred, maybe 1,000 people tops in a small park. And then we really began to grow it in 2019, took a break, obviously, with the pandemic. And it really took off in 2022, brought in a national logistics company to help us run it, expanded it to a regional format, and really went from, hey, how do we celebrate the Charleston brewery scene to leveraging Charleston as a destination to have a full event weekend and experience. And so we've gone to 6,000 plus attendees. This year we have 70 breweries from all over the country.
That's amazing. And can you talk a little bit about how Feathr has kind of changed the way you market this event or added to the way that you market this event?
Yeah. So when I first got here, we had a lot of companies doing a lot of different things. We might have one marketing company that was focusing on this display ad, another company that might have specialized in the geofencing and location, another one that did social media. And it was coming out of the pandemic, it was very kind of shotgun approach. Let's throw everything to the wall, see what sticks, and all kinds of different reporting in different areas. And so one of my primary goals when I first got here was to do an audit and bring as much as we could in-house, to then we could strategically know what we needed to outsource, like OTT ads, which we don't have the capability of running. But Feathr gave us the opportunity to run 98% of what we're doing. So let's use that. Let's leverage that and begin to grow our community that way.
Yep, for sure. And one of the things I hear a lot from the nonprofits that I talk to is that it's not that they're not leveraging these campaign types. It's not that they're not tracking website activity and running ads, but a lot of the time they are using these sort of external companies or agencies to run things and feel like they have like a lack of visibility and control over the data. And so it seems like bringing everything into one place, having that reporting, being able to make strategic decisions based on the reporting that you're seeing is a game changer versus sort of outsourcing things. This sort of spray and pray marketing.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Well, number one, you own the data and it's yours. And so I know we're going to get into that later about how you can apply for grants and other things. But the other is, you think about it, if you can spend some time learning how to run your own display ads or retargeting ads or even geofence ads, that's money you're not paying somebody else and money you can in turn put into the actual campaign itself. So the more things that you can bring in-house, the more money actually goes into the marketing as opposed to paying the person to do the marketing for you.
For sure. And do you feel like you get to know your audience better through doing it yourself, sort of like crafting the messaging, seeing what resonates, and then iterating on those campaigns based on how they perform?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of it, is getting to know them. And for us, we also, people this festival had gotten so big, people didn't really know it was connected to a nonprofit. They thought it was a festival that made a donation to a nonprofit. So we actually wanted to bring a personal touch to it so people knew, hey, this might not be a gala or your normal nonprofit fundraiser, but this is absolutely every dollar goes back to PCC. So we wanted to connect it with an email campaign that was personal and connected to me. And it was a both and. We got to know them and they got to know us.
Yeah. And can you talk a little bit about sort of the importance of multi-channel marketing for an event like this and for event marketing in general?
Just think about everywhere you see something, right? You don't just see it on your phone. You don't just hear it or watch a video on it. You don't, everything, if there's something that we remember or that we go purchase, it's likely because we've already had an experience with it or because we've been bombarded by Google or somebody else is targeting all of these things to us saying, you need this, you need this, you need this. And so by the end of every year, I kind of joke, all of my friends are like, hey, your ads have been following me around everywhere. Thank you so much. You know, I want them, I don't want it to be in their face, like getting annoying, but always want it to be top of mind so that when it comes time to purchase a ticket, they think about Beer Fest first.
Yeah, for sure. And that kind of brings me to another sort of question / point is just like that importance of building awareness over time. And we'll get into some specific awareness campaigns in a minute, but you can't only make big asks, right? You can't just reach people with a donation appeal or an event invitation. You have to be building trust, cultivating your audience, staying top of mind in those sort of overt and subtle ways, right? You want to be sending them newsletters and whatever it is that they've subscribed to in their inbox, but also showing up with digital ads and showing up on Google ads and organic search and all of these things so that, like you said, you're sort of surrounding them in ways that will resonate and keep you top of mind. And then if they are a good fit for your events or if they're a good potential donor, they will eventually convert, right? But you have to kind of cultivate them and nurture them over time. And that requires putting in work and thought ahead of the event, not just in the month leading up to it.
Right, absolutely.
Cool. And then one more quick question about just the general promotion of things. How far in advance do you actually start promoting this? And can you talk a little bit about sort of recommended timelines for a festival like this?
So if I'm being perfectly honest, our festival in 2024 is October 26th. And so we will start running social promotion campaigns in December for 2025. Now, those are much more evergreen. They're very focused on getting people to like our Facebook page, follow us on Insta. They're much, much more general brand awareness and enough to keep you out there, but it's not about the event, it's about the brand. And then we'll start teasing when tickets are going to go on sale, usually March, April, we'll say, hey, save the date. Well, of course, right after the event, there's automatically, as soon as they get home, they get a save the date for 2025. And then we do some just evergreen ads, keep them engaged on social. And then come March, we'll say, hey, tickets go on sale in X amount of time, and you really push the on sale. As for us, you have a huge on sale, and then it's really slow, and then Charleston's very last minute, and it picks back up. So we put a lot of investment into that first quarter to get the good on sale, to give us the buffer to get to the last minute buyers, which are 80% of our purchasers.
Yep. Yeah, and we'll talk through the campaigns you run kind of in that order of the buyer's journey or the sales funnel, right? From awareness to cultivation to driving those last minute conversions. And Barry, I saw you have a question here, how to engage when promoting an event without just posting a flyer or ad. So yeah, this is the perfect webinar for that question. We're going to be talking all about some different digital marketing campaigns that you can run. So let's get into some specifics. So we're going to talk about search keyword campaigns first. So just for a little bit of sort of setting context here, this allows you to target people based on the keywords that they've searched for in the past. So as opposed to Google ads, right, where you're trying to show up in that ad spot at the top of the search results page while they're searching, this allows you to, based on the search terms that they've used, serve ads to them as they browse the web in different places afterward, right? So just like retargeting ads and these other ad campaigns that we'll talk about in a minute show up as display ads on different websites and kind of follow them around in that subtle way, keeping you top of mind. That's what search keyword campaigns do. So it's a great thing to run in tandem with Google ad campaigns. You can do both so that, when they're searching organically for you, they might see you in the Google, search engine, and then also will continue to see your stuff after. So again, trying to just reach them in all of the different places that they are. So let's talk a little bit about your search keyword campaign, one of them, for Beer Fest. I'm going to go ahead and open that up in the app so everyone can kind of see what that campaign looks like. If you want to talk us through this a little bit, starting with how you kind of identify what keywords you want to target for a campaign like this.
I did have some previous data before we came to Feathr with some of our Google AdWord campaigns, and so we did have a jump start on what AdWords or keywords would perform well. But then, honestly, there's a lot of tools on the internet where you can say, what should my keywords be based on my website? And you plug it in, and AI will generate a list and say, hey, these are the words you need to build off of. So for us, Beer Fest, you've got beer, craft beer, festival, beer near me, best craft beer. I mean, anything around that. Obviously, it's a very popular topic for a lot of people. And then, so we have we built specific around what we offered, but then we built around what people search when they're looking for an event or when they're looking for a festival. So if they're looking for beer, we're going to capture them that way. And then the other set was really focused on, if you've ever done what event is near me this weekend. Even if they're searching in March and our stuff's in October, I want to know who's looking for events so that it'll start to follow them around.
Right. Yeah. Because they might find an event.
I see Barry's question. I agree. But I also run Beer Fest, so I might be the wrong person to ask about it. It's not a bad gig. I'm not going to lie. When you have to run a fundraiser, you got to meet with 70 brewers. It's not a bad gig.
Yeah. What a bummer, right?
Yeah, it's tough, right? It's tough. I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
No, you're good. Yeah. And like you said, if somebody's searching for a beer fest near them in March and yours isn't until October, they might find another one in March, but obviously they're a prime candidate for the one in October. So yeah, it's like finding those people year round and continuing to promote your event and remind them, that it's a big, exciting one too. So I think just finding those people all the time and kind of building up the hype to this event that's coming on later.
Yeah. I mean, for us, like the goal of these campaigns is not necessarily sales. It's to cast as big a net as possible so that when you start running retargeting ads or email mapping ads, that's going to be a more efficient cost.
For sure. Yeah, that's a really good point too. And as you can see here, a lot of the sort of metrics here are about impressions, views, clicks, right? And that's what you want to be measuring in these awareness campaigns. So am I getting in front of new people? Are they relevant people? How many are clicking through to my website to learn more? And that's where you get to cookie those people and actually serve them those retargeting ads longer term throughout the year. But getting people to your website in the first place is step one. And so these are the types of campaigns that allow you to get in front of those new audiences. Anything else you want to call out about this specific campaign before we move on to the next?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay, cool. All right, let's move on. Okay, so mobile and historical geofencing. So we'll look at a couple examples of this type of campaign, but this allows you to serve ads to someone based on their current or their previous physical location. And so this is a really cool one just to kind of get your wheels turning on what are some places that you could actually geofence for your specific goal. So if you're, looking for donations or coming up on end of year, maybe you want to get some big ticket donors, geofencing high income areas or neighborhoods can be a way to do it, golfing events, sporting events that have a big ticket price. So just kind of thinking about where you might be able to reach people who would be primed for whatever your ask is, right? And so for, attracting festival attendees, you might want to target other concerts, other festivals, local restaurants, bars, people who are obviously looking to go out and socialize and drink and eat and do all those things. And so, yeah, let's look at your campaign in Feathr, one of your geofencing campaigns for Beer Fest. And then, if you want to kind of talk through this one a little bit.
Yeah, so if memory serves, this was actually my first attempt at the mobile geofence. I feel like each year I learn a little bit more, and if we talked in 2 years, I'd have a whole new idea because you get the tool evolves too. Yeah. But each year we drop a pin at every participating brewery, and that's what we geofence. That's what we drop a net around to say, hey, anybody that's going to visit one of our 70 breweries, we want them to see our ads. because they've already had an interaction with this group, and so that's what we've done with this one. We've done some other historical geofencing based around large events and things like that, where anybody that goes to Riverfront Park, which is where our festival is, for Darius Rucker's festival or Highwater, huge 30,000 people festivals, we'll also geofence those. But this specifically is a much more targeted approach to, these are people that are going to the breweries that we're already having coming, that are obviously engaging or spending their money. It's a group of people you don't have to pay extra money to target, because they're already targeted based on where they are.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And some other kind of cool examples that I've heard from other nonprofits. I spoke with the Feathr the other day, and that customer was telling me that they actually have, there's another theater across the street that has sort of a similar audience. And so they'll sometimes geofence the other theater to get that audience to come to their shows. And it was funny. He was like, we're not trying to steal their audience. Like, they have we have a common interest in like getting them to come to our shows. And it's like, yeah, if people have the money to buy more tickets for more shows, like, get in front of them and they'll appreciate, I think it's one of those things where like advertising feels maybe kind of like this thing that is a nuisance for people, but when it's relevant messaging and it's something that people will actually want to engage with, people appreciate like reminders and nudges about things that, they might actually want to follow through on. And so if you're a theater, you can target other theaters. For associations looking to sort of grow membership or reach, younger members, things like that, you can geofence relevant industry events, universities, specific workplaces. So it's really kind of infinite possibilities depending on whatever your goal is, which is what I think is cool about this campaign type.
Yeah, I love this campaign type. And I know we'll get to this at the end too. We use geofencing for a lot of other things when we have grant-based, population-focused initiatives. So I love these things.
Yeah, for sure. And you can see some of the ads from last year's Beer Fest, which I think look really great. I love the logo, the
Hoptopus
mascot. Yep.
We call that the Hoptopus. So it's got a beer hop at the top, and then the palm leaf is actually our logo, which you can see on my shirt, and then the palmetto tree, and then if you just saw the Hoptopus, you'd see different types of beer mugs, the Pilsners, the lagers, all kinds of stuff like that. So we do a new poster every year.
I love it. Yeah, it's really creative. Okay, cool. Let's go to the next.
While you're doing that, Danielle, I think we are going to get to what some of our grant-based initiatives look like at the end of the call.
Yes, we will, for sure. Okay, so tracked link campaigns. So let's talk a little bit about this. This allows you to actually measure the impact of all of your marketing campaigns from within Feathr. So any campaigns that you might be running outside of Feathr, you can bring those in by attaching a UTM code that Feathr generates onto the URL. So that might be, your event registration page. You just attach this little code at the end of the URL, and that allows you to see in Feathr where people were when they clicked on that link, right? So you can see where people are coming from. This is a great type of campaign to pull in any like social media ad campaigns you're running, print ad campaigns using QR codes. So I know someone, Barry mentioned earlier, like posting flyers and ads, physical ads, like you can actually include QR codes on there and pull that data into Feathr as well. And then dating apps are another really cool use case for this, which I know that you guys have done that with the services you offer specifically. I think we can get into that toward the end to keep the focus on events right now. But let's talk about, I think, the Facebook tracked link campaign. Is this for Beer Fest? Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the first ones. We've learned so much more since this one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you want to share, I guess, any of those learnings or insights?
Oh yeah. So I've realized that if you've ever tried to do this within Google, it can be confusing to build UTM parameters and sources and mediums and all these other things. And the tutorials within Feathr that say, hey, here are the steps you need to do where you can track it are spot on and hugely helpful to where you don't have to necessarily understand some of the lingo you would in another platform. But it's allowed us to make sure, so this is Facebook, it's tracking our social, how those are doing, where I don't have to go over to Facebook and pull that report and then somehow put it with another report. And within Feathr, I've got it all in one place on one dashboard. But even this year, I've thought, we're going to use more track links in the future because we work with a festival specific display ad company called Foundy, who is they only work with music festivals. And so I'm going to give them a track link campaign so that I can see how well they do, right? I've got track link campaigns going to our OTT ads in the local news stations where I can really see how much our investments are paying off in terms of conversions and impressions. And it's just great because it actually allows you to track everything in one place for really very little effort.
Yeah. Yeah, and just like you said, seeing everything in one place just kind of gives you that visibility, that sort of bird's eye view of how everything's performing. You can kind of see one campaign versus another and cross compare a lot more easily to decide, do we want to put more budget here or here? So just having everything in one place as opposed to disparate is definitely.
Well, and it's all the same. It's all the same measurements too, right? Because if you look at the way Facebook will report versus the way Google reports versus the way your third-party contractor OTT reports, they might be all different. But for the most part, Feathr, you can build your report page to all have the same metrics where you're not getting confused. Well, an impression for Facebook means this, but an impression for my OTT ad means that, or vice versa. It actually keeps it. Translates it almost out of the same language, which is also very nice.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Let's see. Close this one out. Okay, cool. And let's talk a little bit about sort of partner marketing, because obviously with a festival like this, like you said, you have 70 breweries coming. I know you have a lot of local restaurants and other, live music partners, things like that. So let's talk a little bit about sort of what that looks like for you in terms of how you use Feathr to track all of that.
So when we ask our partners to help us market, we want to make it as easy as possible. I don't want to say, hey, will you help us market? But you have to design your own website copy. You have to design your own image. You have to have your own link. I want to give them as many tools as possible where they can just click download and then share it on whatever the platform they want to. And so the invite campaign gives us the ability to do that we built in that everybody gets a custom ticketing link where we can see who has actually sold tickets for us, which is nice. But then also they have their own landing page. They have their own email content. They have their own banners where it's customized to them, but they don't have to do the customization. And so we found that we have many more partners willing to do those things and then generate leads for us if we just take a little bit of effort on the front end to where they don't have to. And then they're much more appreciative of that. And actually, we've seen a lot of positive responses and people actually doing it as opposed to just, oh yeah, we'll do it. And then I never see an ad from them.
For sure. Yeah. It gives you more control and you can track everything in one place. And also, these people have their own incentive to promote your events. Like they're going to be there, they're going to be selling their food or their beer or whatever, but making that easier for them is something that they'll appreciate. And you'll just feel more, you can rest assured that your event is going to be out there in front of all of those people's audiences.
It's also brand awareness too, and identity. Like if everybody that's running, a partner that's running a Beer Fest ad right now, they're going to look like the top right corner.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to build their own stuff to where it confuses people to go, oh, well, is that for Beer Fest? Is that for something else?
Yeah.
It keeps the continuity, which is very important.
For sure. I wanted to open up that invites campaign just to kind of show up here is where you can see the report here, and then you can actually see your templates here. So this is where you have all of that sort of collateral that you create, and then it gets customized for each partner. And you have a partners tab here, which I know a couple of these are inactive, but you upload your list of partners, their names, organization names, any relevant information that you would want to be included in the customization of the collateral. And then, you can do landing pages, emails, banners, and it makes it a lot easier to scale that.
And then you also know who's a good partner. If you've got people that don't even read your emails, then somebody that shares your collateral 10 times kind of lets you know who you want to partner with.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. And then you mentioned, so just real quick, I know you told me that you work with some social media influencers as well. So that's outside of this type of partner marketing. It's more kind of relying on people who have their own broad network that might be a relevant audience. How do you kind of identify people to help spread the word on social media and get them to kind of work with you?
Part of it is just kind of industry based. So like who's everybody talking about in the industry? Who's everybody following? Who has had a good relationship with in the past? And I guess who has a message that coincides with what we're trying to do. And a lot of people are going to talk about beer, but work for your beer Instagram really aligns with who we are, and their identity aligns with who we are. So let's work with them because they're based in Charlotte and they've got 100,000 followers in the Southeast, and that's who we need to target, not somebody in California. Not because we don't love California, but the odds of somebody flying from California are kind of small right now until we get a little bigger.
For sure. Yeah. And I know you mentioned when we chatted before that you tend to let social media influencers sort of create their own collateral because it's something they're used to doing and they have a better sense of like what their audience is going to respond to. So as opposed to other partners, you might actually defer to these influencers to kind of run with what works for them.
Yeah, for the social folks, I send them a shared folder and say, hey, here's pictures, here's content, here's this year's poster, and then they'll take it. And that way it's still on brand, but it's not me saying you have to use this, because most of them have bigger followings than us. Mm-hmm. So they're obviously better at it. So let them do it and do what they're good at.
Yep. Cool. So yeah, let's get into a little bit more of this sort of middle of the funnel. People have, maybe been to your site, know who you are. They're a bit warmer of an audience, but haven't converted yet. So segmentation kind of starts to become increasingly important as you move through this funnel. So can you talk a little bit about how audience segmentation comes into play when you're marketing an event?
Yeah, sorry, I was reading Sean's question. Sorry.
No. Yeah, we can.
You want me to go ahead and answer that?
Yeah. Let's see. Is it part of the question?
It's a quick answer.
Oh yeah, you go ahead.
So Sean, for us with our ticketing company, we'll build unique ticketing links or unique promo codes for every one of our partners, and so we put a custom field in the partner dashboard where it automatically uploads. Where let's say Holy City Brewing. They have their own custom link on our end that we build with our ticketing platform that we then put into their partner profile in Feathr. And so that when I build collateral, I'll build in one of the merge fields that is custom link, right? Custom field. And then when they share it, that link is auto-populated into wherever we put that merge field. So yes, part of it is outside of Feathr, but then Feathr has the opportunity to put that in there where they don't even need to know the link. They don't even need to know their code. They just need to know that we've put it in there for them.
Awesome.
Sorry.
No. No. Thanks for keeping us on track. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about kind of audience segmentation, how you're ensuring people are getting the right messaging for them.
So that could go 1,000 directions, right? It might just be basic retargeting. Some of it is our email single send campaigns. Some of it is we have a basic conversation tool from Feathr we use on our website that it just keeps people engaged. Hey, what are you most excited about? Where it pops up, and somebody might say brewery, somebody might say the music. It's something that keeps people active throughout the year. So there's quite a few tools within Feathr we use for that.
Cool. Yep, let's get into it. So email mapping is one of those. So this allows you to reach people who are on your email lists with display ads. So you're actually serving them ads, not sending them emails, but you're using the email as that sort of unique identifier for reaching them, right? Yep. And so even if they haven't been to your website ever or recently, you have their email and you can use that to serve them ads across the web. So yeah, can you talk a little bit about sort of who you target in email mapping campaigns for Beer Fest?
So any previous attendee we'll have an email for, and we also collect emails at all of our pop-up events. We might do like a on sale day or a pop-up here or there where people can register. If they register for prizes, any way we can capture an email, we take it and we put it into Feathr, or they put it into Feathr, or we import it into Feathr, where we can then map it at least once a year to where I guess the goal is to make sure they touch a cookie at some point, where then we can retarget them with ads and work on conversions.
Cool. Yeah, I'll just open up the campaign. Yeah, so you can kind of just see the reach here and these metrics, and then I'll scroll down to show the ad. So this is for, these ads look a little different. These are for this year's
Beer
Fest. Yeah.
Yeah, but you see like up there for $600 to reach 22,000 unique individual people
Yep.
That's a good return.
Yep. And again, these are people who should know who you are or might know who you are, right? Because they have given you their email at some point. And
Right.
so it's not a cold audience, it is a warmer audience, but you're reaching them in this other way, right? So you don't want to be emailing people all the time. But if they're kind of lapsed or not engaging with you via email, you can reach them in this way because you have their email address.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's other ways, obviously that you can apply this. So targeting last year's attendees, like similar to what Richard just said, with early bird reminders or early bird campaigns, reminders, things like that. If you're an association trying to re-engage lapsed members, you can use this type of campaign. Same with lapsed donors. If someone hasn't really engaged or donated in a year or more, you can serve them ads promoting, an e-appeal that you have coming up or end of year campaign, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let's talk real quick about conversation campaigns. So these are basically pop-up surveys that Feathr lets you run on your website to find out more about your community. So this is a really great way to just increase website engagement. So while someone's browsing your site, if you can get them to engage and give you an answer, that's just, great to keep people on your site for longer. There's also ways that you can actually sort of run campaigns based on that data. So creating segments based on the answers and then customizing the messaging in an email or ad campaign based on whatever answer they gave you. So if someone says, I want to volunteer because I want to meet new people, you might consider using that in the subject line or the ad copy of a campaign, targeting those people versus the ones that say another answer. I know that you mentioned that you have one of these campaigns for Beer Fest on your site. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, ours. I know we could segment it a lot with what, like you just said. Ours was really, we just wanted people spending more time on the website,
Mm-hmm.
right? We didn't want them to look and go, oh, okay, well, I don't need to worry about it. It's not on sale yet. Because the more time you can get them engaged with your content, the more likely they are to purchase something from you down the road.
Yep, for sure. And then retargeting. So this is a big one. And this comes back to sort of what we were talking about earlier. People are not going to convert on that first time that they ever hear about you or the first big ask, right? It takes an average of 7 to 12 touch points for someone to become a donor, 6 to 8 touch points for someone to make a ticket purchase. These numbers can vary, but the point is that you have to show up multiple times over time for people to actually trust you and engage with you. And so retargeting is a really powerful way to show up for people over time and sort of just stay top of mind, keep your event top of mind. And then, let's see if there's anything you want to talk through. Again, kind of looking at the spend and the reach sort of speaks for itself, but any other sort of insights here, Richard?
No, I mean, this was for our on sale. So it was really trying to push a May on sale, excuse me. But some of our last big investment between now and October 26th is we've got a retargeting campaign set to turn on the 15th. Because those are going to be, we're going to get a better cost benefit for people who've already been to our site than seeing it for the first time. And that retargeting is also dynamic, right? That, if you build your retargeting campaign based on who's touched your website, then somebody could touch your website 3 days after you start the campaign, but then it's still going to catch them. Mm-hmm. It's not a static audience, which is very nice.
For sure. What pages on your site do you typically use as triggers for retargeting ads besides the event registration page?
Yeah, I mean, so really we it's pretty broad, right? So it's our ticketing website, which is a totally different hosted site that we put our pixels on. Mm-hmm. And then just our chs.org, chsbeerfest.org, because that's where we have everybody land if they're not going directly to the ticketing site. So just the main site. So
any page on the main site, basically.
Yeah. If you touch it, I'm gonna send you something.
Yeah. I should start seeing your ads pretty soon because I've definitely been visiting your website to prep for this. So
yeah, I hope so. It depends on where you are. Sometimes we do fence it a little bit so that I don't spend a whole lot of money like in Canada or something.
Yeah, true. Yep. I'm in Florida.
No offense to the Canadians if you're on the call. We love you. We'd love to have you. It's just not my best return.
Okay, cool. And then Yeah, and then let's kind of talk about email marketing. So this is a big driver of actual ticket sales and conversions, right? And so real quick, Feathr offers two different types of email campaigns. We call this one single send, and this is basically sort of your standard email that you would think of to a predefined list. And so, newsletters, event reminders, early bird reminders, a donation, an e-appeal, something like that to that predefined segment. That's what we call a single send in Feathr. And then auto send campaigns are automated emails that fire off based on some kind of trigger that you set. And so this helps you sort of catch people when they're most engaged with something on your website or something that you're doing. And when they take a specific action, you can trigger the email to go out after that. And so that might be 10 minutes later, an hour later, even a couple days later. That's up to you. But it's about kind of hitting people when they are engaged. And actually looking for something specific from you. And like cart abandonment campaigns are another good example. So auto send can be like an automated thanks for registering or thanks for buying your ticket, that kind of thing. But cart abandonment campaigns are another great example of how to use this. So if somebody hits your registration page and doesn't actually buy a ticket to your event and leaves, then you can, and if you have their email, of course, then you can send an email to their inbox, same day, a day later, reminding them to purchase. And I mean, obviously we all receive this type of cart abandonment email all the time from Amazon and other companies, and they are highly effective in reminding us about something that we probably wanted to do. So yeah. Any additional thoughts on?
I mean, so one of the big selling points for Feathr for us is we got rid of all of our MailChimps. We moved everything into Feathr because we could do all the single sends, otherwise I was going to have to export stuff from MailChimp into Feathr or use the Zap from Zapier, but so I could do email mapping. I didn't want to do any of that. So we moved everything here. So it does all of our single sends, whether it's our agency, our medical center, or our events. We use auto sends for a variety of things on the agency side of the house. We did have a follow-on campaign for our ticketing, but then when we switched ticketing platforms, they have an automated one built in. So we don't have one necessarily on the Beer Fest side, but when we did, it was very, very successful. So yeah, I mean, having email marketing in the same place as all these other tools was one of the primary points that we said, hey, this is worth the investment. Let's do this.
Yeah, awesome. And I'm going to open up one of your email campaigns in just a second, but wanted to highlight this one. It looks like we're blocking it a little bit. But this is an email from the Japan America Society of Washington, D.C. And this is a really beautiful email that they sent out actually promoting a festival that they host every year in D.C. It's a Cherry Blossom Festival. And you can see here, obviously, Feathr tracks standard email metrics like the open rate and click-through rate, but you can also see conversions in Feathr. And so that can be really helpful, seeing conversions across all of your campaigns. Like Richard was saying earlier, it's kind of like you're speaking the same language from campaign to campaign and seeing the metrics sort of in the same way. But yeah, you can see here that this email alone generated 681 ticket sales for this event. And so it's helpful just to kind of be able to see, which emails performed best and which email templates are working and subject lines and things like that. So let's take a quick look at one of your emails for Beer Fest. So I'll open up the actual email so everyone can kind of just see what these look like. This is a nice, just sort of like a nice short and sweet, promo for the event.
Oh yeah, that was just our kickoff party information.
Cool. Yeah, so you have an actual kickoff party a few months before the.
Oh yeah. Any reason for people to get together and drink a beer. Yep. Yeah. We literally have a registration page for our kickoff party to sell tickets.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Cool. And then let's go back here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about reporting, reporting on these events and how they're performing. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the report so we can just look right at that. But can you talk a little bit about how Feathr's reporting features help you prove ROI, internally on your team, to your board, things like that, and starting to get into sort of securing that grant funding a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, it really helped us decide where we're going to spend our money, because we had some partners that we had historically worked with for years that said, hey, you usually spend this much money with us. It was a relationship I inherited. which is fine, but it allows us to take a look at it objectively to say, hey, you're a great partner, but we didn't sell any tickets this way. And while that's great, I can't continue to put money in somewhere that doesn't bring something back. So it really helps us evaluate where you're spending your money, where it's best spent, because as a nonprofit, you don't have $100,000 to promote your event like some of these for-profit festivals. Yep. So you really have to make every dollar count. And the other piece is we've gotten large enough where now we have the data to go to our government to apply for accommodations tax and tourism tax dollars, because they will invest in events and marketing that creates impressions and tourism outside of our Tri-County area. So not only can we show how many people came to the festival from outside the Tri-County area, we can show how many impressions our marketing overall had outside of our Tri-County area. And hopefully we'll actually get some money back on that. We also use this reporting a lot for our federal grants and marketing.
Cool. Yeah, and I want to hear more about that for sure. I just wanted to kind of give people a quick view of like what the report can actually look like. And so you got 1,086 conversions here. I know you mentioned that. So the ticket prices vary. There's sort of like different tiers of ticket prices. And so this is not a reflection of the total revenue driven.
No, that's something we didn't put a lot of, we didn't really put a lot of, this is what our conversion value is. We were interested in how many conversions we had, but you have 4 different types of GA tickets. You have 4 different types of VIP tickets. You have DD tickets, and next year we will build custom conversions on each one of those to where we can say, well, hey, a GA ticket is $55 and a VIP is $100, to where we really know what it is. But these, most of the time, honestly, I would just stick $1 in there because I was more interested in the number of conversions, not the dollar amount I brought back. But
for sure,
again, I was new to the game, and so I would change that. I'm going to change that for 2025.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Yeah. And you kind of get this sort of high level summary of how all of your campaigns contributed to just general reach, net new audience. So these are just, new people that you're bringing in who now know about your event or your organization through the audience expansion campaigns that we talked about at the beginning. You have unique clicks, like clicks on your ads and your emails. And yeah, so you can kind of get a full view of how all of your campaigns performed. And you have spend performance here. Yeah. Cool. And then I did want to kind of get into, let's see here, wanted to talk a little bit about securing grants and some best practices around that. So this might be a good time to sort of transition into talking about services, because that's obviously a place where you are applying for grants as well to fund the medical centers and the services that you offer. So before we get into grants, do you want to just quickly talk a little bit more about the medical center, the care I know you kind of talked at the beginning, but sort of how grants play into being able to offer these services to the community?
We're pretty heavily grant funded, and so a couple of years ago we were given a very small amount of money to target very specific population densities. We did well with that, so we got a little bit more last year, and that's when we were able to start. In 2022, we were able to start utilizing Feathr. They liked the ROI on that, so they gave us a much larger amount this year. Because we were able to say, hey, these dollars are translating to new clients. These dollars are translating into amounts of tests that have been offered. It gets a little tricky with conversions and PHI and HIPAA because you want to track how many people converted by turning in a form, but you don't want to capture their data because that gets into legalities that we don't have time to talk about. But it's allowed us to market what needs to be marketed. If it's, hey, find your primary healthcare doctor like you would for any other doctor, it's that. If it's find your HIV case management, it's that. Feathr gives us the opportunity to do all that in one place. And when you're a department of one, it's nice to do it all in one place.
Yep. And then
we're coming up on time, so I was trying to be fast too. Sorry.
No. Yeah, this is great. I pulled up a couple sort of, so talking about sort of promoting awareness of your medical center and those services. Here are some of the ads that you've run for that. If you wanted to kind of just talk a little bit about, like how you put these ads in front of, like the campaigns that you're running to kind of put these ads in front of the right people and reach people where they are?
Yeah, we just moved into a new building, so we're really able to expand capacity and accept new patients. And so we ran ads at the same time, same amount of money in Google, and then same amount of money in Feathr, to see really where we were getting the most requests for appointments. And Google's impressions are going to be huge because it's at the top, and they count impressions very differently. But the quality of impressions and quality of conversions, number of conversions were higher. Our conversion rate was higher through Feathr. Because it's not just a bot looking at it or somebody scrolling and they scrolled too long and Google counted it as an impression. So it was very helpful to run that and to help us see that. And we also run all of our track links through it as well when we're advertising on the dating apps.
Yep. And then I know you use auto send campaigns as well for clinic awareness. So can you talk through a little bit about, when someone would receive one of these emails?
So those would just be hey, we've seen that you requested more information. Somebody's going to be reaching out to you to schedule an appointment. And it essentially just keeps it top of mind with them. Oh yeah, somebody called me the other day, I need to call them back, because nobody answers the phone anymore. They just text. Right. It helps just kind of keep that awareness in there without getting into too much detail about what exactly they're requesting, just that they want to talk to us.
Yep. Cool. Well, that kind of wraps up this portion of the webinar. And I wanted to share, before we get into some Q&A, because I know that there were a couple of questions we didn't get to, and I see some new ones there. So definitely want to get to those, have you answer some of those, Richard. But I wanted to just share with everyone, again, we'll be sending this out after, so you'll get this in your inbox, but some additional kind of case studies and resources around how other types of organizations use Feathr to maximize event attendance and registration. And so obviously we have Palmetto Care, so we have a whole case study written up about how Palmetto uses Feathr. So a lot of what we just talked about, but some more information in there. This is Quad City Symphony Orchestra. So this is an orchestra using Feathr to maximize concert attendance. This is that example that I mentioned before, Japan America Society of Washington, D.C. So this is a whole case study on how they actually use email marketing and Feathr ads to get people to attend that festival. Savannah Music Festival is another big one. United Way also was hosting a weekly kind of community night to get families to come and engage with their services. And this dropped off a lot during and after the pandemic. And then they started running some geofencing campaigns just to grow awareness. And within a couple of weeks, they went from getting a couple families in the door each week to 50 families. So like drastic increase just from running some ad campaigns. And then Camp Eagle is a faith-based summer camp. And so they were able to bring in new campers through this digital outreach. And then we have an association example here too. So this is the American Association of Endodontists. And there's plenty more on Feathr's case studies page, obviously. So feel free to dig through that and see, what's helpful for you. But I just wanted to kind of include these so that whatever type of organization you are, you can hopefully find something that's relevant to the type of event that you might be trying to promote. And then, I'll just leave this up here, but if you have found this helpful and you kind of want to learn a little bit more about how Feathr might be able to help you run some of these campaigns, promote an event, maybe you have something coming up end of year, a fundraiser, an event next year that you're already thinking about. So drop a 1 in the chat if you're new to Feathr and you want to hear more about how we can help. And then if you are already a user and you want to connect with your customer success manager about any campaigns that you have going on, drop a 2 in the chat. So feel free to keep dropping those in, but we will get to some questions. Let's start with Mike Gorman's question. So what CRM do you use?
So right now we're using Bloomerang, where we're shifting over to Neon. And then we use Zapier a fair amount to connect between Feathr and our CRM.
Cool. And then interesting facts there. How many touch points before someone becomes a donor? So again, this varies. This can be anywhere between 6 to 8 touch points or more. It kind of just depends. But it does, like I said, take a lot of touch points to actually get someone invested in, especially when it comes to donations in this day and age. I think people tend to be less trusting in organizations and institutions than previously. So baby boomers are by far the highest donors in terms of just giving money on a regular basis compared with younger generations. And so it definitely takes a lot more touch points nowadays just to kind of build that trust. and get people to want to invest monetarily in a cause. And then, yeah, let's see. Okay. And then I saw someone else earlier asked, how does what Feathr offers compare to the services of other platforms like Network for Good? So I know Network for Good is a fundraising platform. So I think, that's more for actually like driving those donations on your site. You might have like a website through a platform like that you run to actually do the back end, like getting those donations. Whereas Feathr is a marketing platform that helps you get those fundraising campaigns out there in front of new audiences, existing audiences. So it's kind of different functions, but they can work together. So you likely will need both, right? You're doing your fundraising on a platform, but then you're actually promoting those campaigns through a different one like Feathr. Yeah. And then
somebody asked about how the conversation campaigns help capture.
Yeah. So they don't actually help you capture people's emails. The intention is to get them to engage with you while they're on your website. So it might be someone whose email you do already have because they attended an event or filled out a form previously, but they are not giving you their email in that pop-up survey. They're simply answering a question that you can then, you can use that information to do further marketing or just kind of know more about your audience. And yeah, thanks, Rachel. She just dropped our case studies page. So feel free to, check out other stories we have on there. I think we've gotten to all of them, right? I'm not seeing any other new ones. Yeah, hopefully, Daniela, we answered some of those questions about grant-based initiatives. Like Richard said, they're heavily grant funded. And so not a whole lot of donation campaigns because you're so focused on driving those grants.
Yeah, I think so. I guess one example would be that we're promoting our HIV case management services, and so we run very specific ads on dating apps based on risk factors, and I can run those track links through here. I'm also running keyword search ads for people that are searching for medical care, and we're also running some OTT ads and some billboards with QR codes, all those things. It's all rebate based for us, and so I have to turn in receipts after we've expended the funds, and then at the end of every quarter we show impressions, conversions, showcase where the money went, and so being able to do that well has given them confidence and giving us more when a lot of places don't like to give you money for marketing. So being able to really show hard numbers, not just, oh, look, we grew, has been very helpful for us.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, it looks like we're good to go on questions. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining, and thank you so much, Richard. This has been really great. It's been a pleasure to have you on and hear your experience. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, no, glad. Just say one thing real fast. So if you've heard all these words like conversions and pixels and cookies, one of the great things about Feathr is they can help you understand what that means and build the things for you where you don't necessarily have to know how to build the code, which is very helpful for me. And one of the highest selling points on my end is it's very, very user friendly on top of being very effective.
Yep. Thank you.
Sorry, that's just my pitch.
No, yeah, love to hear it. We strive to be user friendly, so it's always good to hear that. Cool. All right. Well, thanks again, Richard. Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you on the next one.